Gunslinger Firearms and Gear will be starting a series of videos on bring back war trophies. And this first one that we're doing will be uh, focused on something from World War II. Jeff, tell us what this is and what kind of story this has behind it.
Well, this is as most people call a Luger P08. And it was actually made by Mauser. It's an S42 marked gun, manufactured in 1936. It's got the correct Waffen amps and so on the firearm to prove that it was a military service firearm. And beyond that, we also have bring back papers to certify that this firearm was indeed brought back from the Second World War. With most of these Lugers, as you can tell, wood checkered grips, a single stack 8-round magazine, toggle action, just a fixed sight. Of course, the rear sight is part of this rear, part of your toggle system and so on. Your front sight is a dovetailed front sight. This one has got
It's like a tang.
A tang piece right here where you can affix a stock. So, I mean, everything about it is correct as far as a Luger is concerned.
And we'll also get some close-up shots of all these features.
Of course, if you pull this back and check empty, the gun itself and the magazine have got corresponding serial numbers, so this is a totally numbers correct firearm. One thing you'll find out with Lugers and other military arms, even in German service or other countries, but especially in German service, the last 2 digits of your serial number will be printed on or stamped on every major part of the firearm. The takedown lever, the side plate, the barrel, the front of the frame itself, the magazine floor plate, like I just alluded to, the front part of the toggle, the rear part of the toggle, just several different places as far as major components, even internally when you take this apart. The extractor even on here is has the last 2 digits of the serial number. Of course, like I said, this one is an S/42, which would tell you that it is a Mauser manufactured firearm. Even though we would call this a Luger, this one was manufactured by Mauser. There were several manufacturers of these, WWII and so on and so forth. There was other manufacturers other than Luger themselves, of course. This being manufactured in 1936 was, of course, prior to the start of the Second World War, but that's only 3 years prior, because really everything kind of started in 1939. So this was part of the up-arming of Germany, Nazi Germany. The Waffen amps or stamps are clearly visible on the upper portion of the barrel assembly up here. And, those were just, proof marks, to prove that it was good for service and so on. And, everybody kind of looks at that shape and you can kind of tell, right away, that is a Luger. And no, it's not pointed at Terry's head. It's in front of him. And, you kind of can tell, this one's in very good condition.
And handling that a while ago, everything felt tight.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's
smooth.
got one little hickey on this part of the grip, and it's got some oil stains in the front of the grip, and the back of the grip have got wear marks where, of course, it's been used, but a little bit of wear on the barrel itself. But this gun's in very good shape. It's as tight as a tick, and it's a beautiful gun. The Luger was always known for its ability to be point shot because of the way it fits into your hand. They didn't do this kind of stuff back then. It was a lot of one-handed shooting. And the gun, as you can just tell by the way that it points, it is a good point shooting firearm. You can almost have this level at your hip and fire this and hit. But it's because of the the rake and the angle of this grip. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw a Luger. I thought evil, you know. You thought, oh no, the Nazis. But you know what? This is a piece of history. A firearm cannot be blamed for any action in this world that takes someone, of course, to pull that trigger and point it in something, direction to do something with it. So, I mean, as far as I consider this a piece of history and a piece of art. I mean, just the design and the fit and everything of this gun is just amazing. Uh, Terry, what do you think when you see a gun like that?
For me, getting to handle or just be in the presence of a firearm that has a history, that is a piece of history like this. I mean, it's an incomparable feeling. You think about things like where has this been? Whose hands held this firearm? And what happened that led for it to be in the possession of the person that brought it back?
That's right.
There's a story behind every piece.
Yeah. And of course, even talking about bringing it back, looking at the certificate that I have here, that is the actual bring back paper. It states on here, this was 28 November 1945. I certify or personally examine the items of captured enemy equipment in the possession of, and I'm not going to say someone's name here, and that the bearer is authorized by the theater commander under the provisions of section such and such and such, 28 May 1945, to retain as his personal property the articles listed in paragraph 3 below. I further certify that such items are to be mailed to the U.S. They do not include any items prohibited by section such and such and such, 28 May 1945. Items referred are German, and you can't really tell, caliber Luger pistol, and the serial number. And it says on here, I certify that I was present in the European theater prior to VE Day, and that individual's signature that brought it back, and then a signature of the commanding officer that signed the document. So I mean, it says United States Forces European Theater Headquarters official. So I mean, it's a neat document. It's been kept in here. Of course, it's been folded up for a long time. And getting to this part, probably kept with the gun in this holster. It's just a regular clamshell type holster with a provision here for a takedown tool, another magazine, this piece right here, when the gun is inside of it, your trigger guard and the front end of the frame fits down here, so when you pull this up, it helps you get the gun out of there, because sometimes in certain rain conditions and whatever the case may be, it might have tightened this leather against the firearm, made it hard to draw. This would have helped bring the gun out of the holster. Of course, it just buckles over and has a provision on the back for a belt. And it's kind of hard to see. There we go. There's the Nazi Waffen amp in here. Don't know if you can kind of see that or not. And P08 over here. This is not a replica holster, and it's 1942 stamped on here. So I mean, it's a neat piece of history to go along with that gun. Whether those two were brought back together, I don't know. This one was with that, and like I say, and like Terry was saying, just kind of wonder where it's been, what action it's seen. I mean, one would hope it, never was used to end someone's life, but it's war. That happens. I mean, nobody likes that, but I mean, heck, how'd you know if you bought a car that has been in an accident that someone was killed? What would be the difference? It's just an inanimate object, be it a knife or sword or a shovel. It's just an object. But neat piece of history. Safety works, and of course, piece comes up here to block the action where nothing can be pulled back. The toggle can't work that way, and part of this series that we got. We're going to have a few other items to come, and you know, to me, it's an honor to kind of see this and to have the paperwork and so on to show, you know, where this gun came from and to prove that, you know, it's not someone's daydream or something like that. Say, oh, I brought this back, whatever. Yeah, there's proof.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, you know, it was there, and it's a neat firearm. So, like I say, gonna have more to come. Keep watching.